Nature has placed mankind under the governance of two sovereign masters, pain and pleasure. It is for them alone to point out what we shall or shall not do. On the one hand, the standard of right and wrong, on the other, fasten to their throne the chain of causes and effects. Pain and pleasure govern us in all we do, in all we say, in all we think. In words, a man may pretend to abjure their empire, but in reality, he will remain subject to them all the while. The principle of utility recognizes this subjection and assumes it for its foundation. Systems which attempt to question it deal in sounds instead of sense, in caprice instead of reason, in darkness instead of light. To take an exact account of the general tendency of any act, begin with any one person whose interests seem to be most immediately affected by it, and take an account of the value of each distinguishable pleasure that seems to be produced. Repeat and record the value of each pain that seems to be caused by it in the first instance. Sum up all the values of all the pleasures on the one side and those of all the pains on the other. The balance, if it be on the side of pleasure, will give the good tendency of the act. If pain outweighs pleasure, it is harmful. Repeat this procedure and apply the principle to every individual whose interests appear to be concerned. Take the balance, which if on the side of pleasure or pain, will give the general good or evil tendency of any act. The thermometer is the instrument for measuring the heat of the weather, the barometer the instrument for measuring the pressure of the air. Money is the instrument of measuring the quantity of pain or pleasure. Those who are not satisfied with the accuracy of this instrument must find another that is more accurate, or bid adieu to politics and morals altogether. It is the imperfect yet indispensable gauge of all invisible currents of delight and suffering. Neither on that or any other occasion have I ever given serpents for fish, sentiment, or metaphor for argument. I have not, I never have, nor ever shall have any horror, sentimental or anarchical, of the hand of government. I leave it to the great Adam Smith and the champions of the rights of man to talk of invasions of natural liberty and to give, as a special argument against this or that law, an argument to put a negative upon all laws. Had every one individual his vote in the business, all would indeed be as it should be. The sum of all the distinguishable interests thus ascertained would constitute the universal interest. In a word, the principle of universal suffrage would be applied. Very different, however, is the state of things. Separate and particular interests start up, solicit and obtain protection to the detriment of the common prosperity. The concentration of immense capital in single hands furnishes a power of evil which is but too commonly allowed to immolate the general good. Against its gigantic influence, appeal would seem in vain. Standing up one by one, separately they are opposed and separately they are crushed. Motives give birth to intentions, and of all these sorts of motives, goodwill is that of which the dictates are surest coinciding with those of the principles of utility. Motives and intentions may bend to utility's rule, but only publicity forges goodwill into necessity. Where all acts are seen, virtue becomes the arithmetic of self-interest. Where the dungeon brutalizes, the panopticon corrects. So let the architecture speak, a ring of cells, each a stage for the prisoner's labor, each backlit by a window, so that his silhouette may never escape the gaze of the jailer stationed at the central tower. It is so to extract from the opacity of men's actions the pure light of inspection, at once unblinking and economical. The prisoner becomes his own regulator, and the cost of supervision shrinks to a pittance. The prisoners modify their own behavior as if they were always being watched. Where the whip excites defiance, the certainty of observation breeds docility. This is the omniscience of God made affordable to the state. Your approval multiplies the output of my pleasure. I'll definitely make more use of my real head.
Jedes lass auch dir die Brust bewegen. Liebchen, höre mich, bebend fahr ich dir entgegen.